Hey everybody, welcome to Lesson 1 in our series of Elite Dangerous tutorials for the Flighter Operations Manual. I am currently in a Sidewinder and we'll be taking a look at this because this is the ship that most new people will be starting in. And today we're going to take a look at the heads-up holographic displays as well as get you out on your first flight and return back to the station safely. These are skills you're going to need to survive. I know the tutorial helps a little bit, but it isn't all that great at just explaining all the little nuances. So while we're here safe in the hangar, we're going to take a look at some of these heads-up displays. And you notice right here, I have my controls all set up and I have a camera set up so that you can actually easily see what I'm doing rather than pointing at my face, which is up here. It's pointing at my mouse, keyboard, joystick setup. And I'll give you a quick tour of that. It's just a standard keyboard. Aviator, and this is an old Aviator, several years old, with a throttle in front, and it's got several switches along here that allow me to do various things that I've set up as shortcuts, like landing gear and cargo scoop and things like that. And then I have my mouse over here. So the first thing we're going to take a look at is our holographic heads-up displays. If I press the 1 key, I come over here to my information about the external environment. This is pretty much focuses on everything that's around me. And the first tab is the navigation tab. I can use it to get to the galaxy map, system map, take a look at local locations and other locations within my hyperspace reach. We'll go into more detail about those later. So to navigate these menus, I'm using the WASD keys to move up and down. And if I want to change tabs, I use the Q and E keys. So the E key changes the next tab. Transactions shows things like missions being completed and mission information you have going on right away. So you want to keep an eye on that tab. You have contacts, which shows any contacts in the area. Right now, the only contact we have is a civilian outpost. When you have something targeted, boop, lock target, you can get information on their sub-targets and any cargo that they are carrying if you have a cargo scanner. Back to the center here, the 2 key brings down the communications menu, which, since there isn't anyone else around right now, there isn't really anyone to communicate. The 3 key zooms in on your scanner, which is in this case our docking port information. So we'll go into that into detail some other time. And the 4 key brings up my ship status panel, which shows all the information about my ship. This shows information about my pilot, my standing with particular factions, money I have, things like that. Once again, the E key switches tabs. Here's all the modules I have installed. I have individual control over those. Fire groups I have set up, any cargo I'm carrying, and common ships functions like deploying your landing gear and deploying or retracting your cargo scoop and things like that. Many of these functions have shortcut keys that I will be using. So, now that you have an idea of the standard heads-up display that is going to be present in every single ship that you'll ever own, including the Sidewinder, we'll take ourselves out for our first launch and fly around a bit and come back. Okay, the very first thing we're going to do for launching is to use the W and S keys to scroll on down to launch to ask for permission. We're currently docked at the Bosch terminal, and since this is our very first flight out, we have a pre-flight checklist to complete to make sure that we can have all the keys handy that we need to maneuver our ship. So we'll go through this. Pitch up, pitch down, roll right, roll left, yaw right, yaw left, thrust right. So these are custom key bindings I have. I have thrust left on A, I have thrust up on W, and thrust down on S. By default, W and S are your forward and backward, but I have that set up on the throttle right here, so I don't need it. Throttle up, throttle down, and we'll reset that as best we can. Landing gear test, that's this switch right there. Weapon deploy test, that's this red button right here, which usually has a cover on it. Target ahead, I have my hat forward for target ahead. Primary fire, and UI focus is left shift. With all that done, we are now ready to launch on our maiden voyage. So after a short time of getting ourselves up and out of the hangar, we will be on our way. Here we are in open space at a Bosch terminal. This is just an outpost. Okay, so I'm tapping the W key to thrust up. Once I'm clear of the pad, I will retract my landing gear. And I have my right mouse button bound to mouse look, so I can now look around. And we're in space. So I will throttle up. Make sure I'm clear of any obstacles. Yes, I am. And go to full throttle. And we can fly away from Bosch Terminal. As you can see, flying around is pretty darn flight sim-like. You pitch up. There's the terminal. Bank around. I can yaw. Notice that your ship pitches and rolls much better than yaws. So, let's fly out a ways. Get ourselves a little bit of ways, a little bit of distance from yacht of the Bosch terminal. Okay, now that we've been flying around a little bit, let's get ourselves back to our terminal. I'm going to go ahead and target it and just fly back to it here. And we're going to go ahead and dock. But in order to do so, I'm not sure which way is up. Anyway, in order to do so, we need to get ourselves within range. We won't be able to ask for docking until within 7.5 kilometers, so we're just going to fly that way for a little bit here. And once we're within 7.5 kilometers, we'll use our navigation menu to ask for docking clearance. Okay, we're within 7.5. We're coming up on it shortly. I'm going to slow down to about half forward. And in the Contacts tab, I use the Q and E keys to change tabs. Spacebar to select the civilian outpost. W and SD to select my target or my action. In this case, I want to request docking. And tapping the 1 key again brings us back to our forward view. So, we are to proceed to landing pad 1. Now, there is I'll zoom in on it here. To the to the left and just a little bit above our scanner is our compass. That's this disc here, this disc right here with the dot in the middle. The compass right now points us directly to our assigned landing pad. So as I move my ship around, I can see which landing pad is actually directly in front of me. So once I get that centered, it looks like the landing pad up on top here. So I'm hitting the W key to bring myself up. And then the A key to bring myself sideways. Okay, as we're approaching the pad, I'm going to go ahead and tap my landing gear button and get myself lined up for any final approach. When we get over the pad, this little landing assist control comes up in place of our scanner. So our goal now is to bring our ship directly over the middle of the target, and I tap the S key to bring us down slowly. We're close enough. Our magnetic landing gear engaged, and we're docked. And we can once again enter the hangar or do whatever other Starport services we wish to do. So that's taking off, and that's launching and docking in a nutshell. But in order to actually make any money or do anything in Elite Dangerous, you're going to need to know how to navigate between various places within the same system, and also other systems in your area. And most importantly, you're going to need to learn how to handle Orbis spaceports. So let's take a look at the system map. And I want to find, this is where we're at, Heisenberg Terminal or something, nowhere, somewhere. Anyway, any one of these would work. Doesn't tell me what kind of station it is. That'd be really handy information. I think the icon actually tells us that's probably an Orbis starport, and this is going to be a Coriolis starport. I'm going to go ahead and set course for Bohm, and we will learn how to dock in an actual starport. So I use the system map to take a look at where I wanted to go. And I'm using the WASD keys to navigate the navigation menu. And I'm going to select Bohm Terminal and lock destination. With that destination locked, my compass is now pointing to it. You can see it's sort of up by, it's like this direction. It's up, well now we're turning around, so it's going to be up and to our left. Again, W key in my case is vertical thrust. Tap the landing gear control. I'm going to get myself facing my target here and apply forward throttle. So there's Bohm Terminal, 282 light seconds away. In order to get into Super Cruise, that's the low energy cruise that we use to navigate the local system, we need to wait till we're far enough away from the station to no longer be mass locked. There we go. The light has just turned off in the lower right of my screen, which means I can engage my frameshift drive.
Frameshift drive charging.
There's a short charge up sequence to get into frameshift or get into Super Cruise.
1. Engage.
And here we are. We are now super cruising towards Bohm Terminal. These lines and everything you see are now your HUD helping you with what will soon be faster than light travel. The frameshift drive, since moving through space faster than the speed of light is physically impossible. It's what would happen is our mass would become infinite, and therefore we'd never actually reach the speed of light. In order for us to actually travel faster than the speed of light, the frameshift drive bends space and moves that warped space in such a way that we're not actually traveling through space faster than the speed of light. So there you go. That's how frameshift drive works in low energy. There we go. We've just broken the light barrier. Are now traveling at 2C, heading towards the Bohm Terminal. So I'm going to head up. Gives a chance to see some of what's going on around here. There's a star, LHS 1914A, and its accompanying satellites. So we're headed to Bohm Terminal here. Okay, right about now is a good time to start slowing down. I may have actually started slowing down just a little bit late, but we'll see. Give it just a little bit more throttle. Super Cruise works since it's bending space. Any gravitational wells or gravitational sources around you actually slow you down because it takes much more energy to bend space in a gravity well. So it your frameshift drive can only go so fast, basically, in a gravity well. As we get closer to these moons, you'll see that even though my throttle is set to the same, the frameshift drive has a harder time speeding us up and slowing us down because of the nature of the gravity. So we're heading towards Bohm Terminal, which is orbiting the double planet of LHS 1914A5. There we go, we're within 20 million meters. And continuing to slow down. Okay, well, this is an interdiction. You're going to need to learn how to handle these things if you're flying through space. And they're not that difficult. All you got to make sure you do is point yourself at that blue escape vector and do your best to stay on it. Interdictions are caused by other ships trying to pull you out of Super Cruise. But we managed to avoid that one. I'll go into more detail about how to deal with interdictions later. Right now, just point yourself at the blue escape vector and get out of there. Okay, we're within range of safe disengage, so I tap the hyperspace key again. And we are now out of Super Cruise, closing in on Bohm Terminal. Once again, we're going to wait till we are within 7.5 kilometers before we actually dock, or ask for permission to dock. There we go. Head over to Contacts, the Coriolis Starport, and request docking. Now we're just going to fly on in. So, a couple of things to keep in mind. These Coriolis starports are kind of hard to figure out how to find the front of. If you look in the corner of each of this, in the corner of the front box here, you see blue flashing lights. That's your first indicator that you're headed towards the front side of the station. The back side of the station actually has red flashing lights, so that's the back. Also, to the left of your compass is a little helper that gives you arrows pointing towards the front, and that always shows your target in relation to you, its orientation in relation to you. And lastly, the front of the terminal, the front of the station always rotates counterclockwise, and this rotation is to impart artificial gravity. So we're going to slow right down and deal with this entrance. First thing you need to do if you're dealing with a Coriolis starport or an Orbis starport or any other starport that has an internal docking bay is get yourself aligned. And then you notice I'm applying slight left pressure on the joystick to match my rotation with the slot. In a Sidewinder it doesn't matter all that much, but in larger ships it makes a huge difference because otherwise you'll just end up crashing and destroying yourself. You gotta move through somewhat quickly, but once you're inside, Flight Assist will auto-correct rotation for you to make it match the rest of the station, so it seems like you're no longer rotating. But if we look back outside, you'll notice that you are. Once again, the compass is pointing at pad 44. This is our designated landing pad, so we're going to head this direction. I'm actually going to thrust downwards and get myself in level flight and head towards the numbers. Once the numbers start disappearing, I throttle down and head down a bit. And there's our docking assist. Move forward until we're aligned, come on down until we are landed, and we've successfully docked in an Orbis starport. Orbis starports are where you're probably going to do, or not an Orbis, Coriolis starport is where you're going to do a lot of your work. The larger space stations, they're going to have the most missions and things like that available. Now we're going to head back home. So once again, we'll go to navigation and set ourselves a course for Bosch Terminal. Leaving a Coriolis starport is much the same as leaving an outpost. The problem is you have to deal with the entry port. So once again, we're going to go through how to deal with an entry port, and then that's going to conclude our first flight lesson. Okay, we've been released. Thrust upwards. Now keep an eye on your scanner. Once again, you want to make sure there's nothing above you when you're thrusting up or you're going to crash into them. Retract my landing gear. I'm going to cycle my targets to see who's ahead of me. Okay, there is a Sidewinder. He is heading out, though. We can see by the sort of the target information that he's actually headed away, even though he's going very slowly. I'm going to move to the side. And just head off over him. Okay, once again, following our compass, Bosch Terminal is that direction. And we are going to wait until we're no longer mass locked and engage Super Cruise. We've left the no-fire zone. Any moment now we'll no longer be mass locked. Alright, the light is off. We're charging up the frameshift drive.
4, 3, 2, 1, engage.
Okay, I'm at full speed ahead until we get down to about 150 light seconds. So distances in Elite Dangerous are measured in light years and light seconds. Everything within the local system is generally measured in light seconds. Sometimes it'll measure it in millions of meters, but generally speaking everything is light seconds away. That is to say, it takes light 280 seconds to go from where we are to where that point of light is. So if we were only limited to the speed of light, it would take us about 5 minutes, 4.5 minutes to actually get there. There are places that are thousands of light seconds away, even in Super Cruise. So going that slow would be really, really problematic. Okay, we're picking up some speed now. We're having to slow down because of a gravity well. Alright, that's close enough. I'm going to back off my throttle right middle into the blue zone, which should keep me at a safe speed to easily safely disengage. I'm going to keep my finger on the frameshift drive key, which I've bound to J. And as soon as I'm within 1,000, I think it's 1,000, yeah, 1,000 kilometers or 1 megameter, and I'm glowing slow enough. So this little helper screen on the left of the monitor that says Bosch Terminal and has alignment and distance and speed, that actually tells you when you can drop out of Super Cruise. You need to get your distance down to less than 1 million meters and your speed down to less than 1 million meters per second. So we're now going slow enough, but we're not quite yet close enough to safely disengage Super Cruise. There we go. We're pointed the right direction, we're going the right speed, and we're at the same distance. Or at a safe distance. And here we are back at coming up on Bosch Terminal. Once again, we'll get ourselves into 7.5 kilometers and ask for docking clearance. Contacts. Civilian outpost. Request docking. Request granted. Landing pad 3. I don't see the hologram. It might be on the underside. So I'm applying downward thrust at the same time to just maneuver myself to hopefully be able to see my landing pad better. I still don't see it. I wonder if it's on the other side of... Where is it? Okay, we're going to slow right down and just use lateral thrust until we get a view of our landing pad. Aha, there it is. Okay. This is a pretty inconvenient spot to land on. So using the landing helper, I am going to get myself positioned here. Back it up. Go left. Make sure I'm facing the right direction, because it does make a difference. And then come down. Double check my landing gear. And there we go. So, just to recap what we've taken a look at, we took a look at the navigation heads-up display, which has our navigation, transaction, contacts, and sub-targets and cargo, just really briefly. We used the navigation panel to fly around a bit. And we took a look at our scanner, familiarized ourselves with the compass and our target information on the left-hand side. We also took a look at our ship status heads-up display, which shows our status, our pilot status, the modules on our ship, any fire groups we have set up, our cargo, and all of the functions available for our ship. And we took ourselves a little quick round flight away from Bosch Terminal, came back and landed, and then another round trip flight to, what was that, Bohm Station? Bohm Terminal, and learned how to dock in a Coriolis starport, or any starport that has internal docking bays, and also departed and came back here to Bosch Terminal. So that's going to conclude it for lesson number 1 of your pilot flight operations for Elite Dangerous. And until lesson 2, I'm going to say keep flying and stay shiny.